Breaking news. This will be the light novel review of Itachi's story titled Daylight. Okay, so if you know anything about the light novels for Itachi, it's broken down into two books. You have the Daylight one, which focuses on Itachi when he was younger, and you have the Midnight one, which focuses on Itachi after he left the Leaf Village after the genocide of his clan. So, what happened in Chapter 1? So, we're introduced to a young Itachi. At this point in the book, he is 4 years old, and his father Fugaku has taken Itachi out into the battlefield, a war-torn battlefield, because Itachi was born during the Third Great Ninja War. It was the end of the Third Great Ninja War, but he was born into it. Now, the entire reason that Fugaku had took Itachi to the battlefield was to show him the inevitable life that he was going to have to be a part of if he chose to be a shinobi. Well, he didn't really have a choice. He was going to be a shinobi. He's an Uchiha. And the life of fighting, killing, and the inevitable death that is to befall a shinobi. Now, when Itachi sees all of this, he begins to cry. Now, he didn't want to cry, but he's overcome with emotion, right? And so his tears just started falling from his eyes. The only thing that helped him out in this situation, it stated that it started to rain, so his tears were masked by the rain. It was in this moment that we first get the glimpse of Itachi and his Sharingan beginning to emerge. Now, it didn't fully emerge, no, but we see, well, we don't see it. What it states in the book, is that Itachi began to feel this pressure well up behind his eyes. Now, nothing manifested, but this is where we begin to see the true power of Itachi. He was so overcome with this emotion because he made a creed in that moment of seeing all this death and decay around him from all these bodies that he believes is pointless sacrifices. He makes his creed that he wants to be the strongest. He wants to be stronger than anyone else in the entire world because he wants to save the entire world. Big talk for a 4-year-old. But then again, what 4-year-old should have to be subjected to such a sight at 4 years old, right? Can we talk about for the second the level of mental scarring and trauma that Itachi, as a 4-year-old, had to take, considering the fact he is seeing a war zone rattled with dead bodies? Alright, so fast forward, and the book tells us that shortly after the opening scene, it states that the war ends, and that when the war ends, the third Hokage, Hiruzen, he officially retires and he steps down as Hokage. Now, this may be a part of the story that you are aware of. So when it came down to picking who would become the fourth Hokage, there was only 2 names on the ballot, Minato and Orochimaru. Now, when I read this, maybe it was just me, but I had no idea that Orochimaru was to be considered for the title of Hokage. Now, this man, Orochimaru, was enough of a badass that he was able to boast high enough to be a contender of the Hokage title. But we all know how this went, right? Minato becomes the fourth Hokage, and it can only be speculated that this is when Orochimaru defected from the Leaf Village and the Land of Fire and decided to go rogue. But within Itachi's story, Daylight, it spoke about the fact that Fugaku Uchiha, his name was not on the ballot to become Hokage. And this was very infuriating for the Uchiha clan because if you think about it, you do not get the epithet Wicked Eye Fugaku for being a bitch. You just don't. In the entirety of the Third Great Shinobi War, we know of only 2 people who have had the flee on sight order. That's the Yellow Flash Minato and Wicked Eye Fugaku. If you saw either one of them, it doesn't matter what you're doing. Leave if you can. Keep that in mind. If you're able to, you need to get out of there. Like, drop whatever you're doing, run. I can't say the same thing about Orochimaru. It never mentioned Orochimaru. We don't know any of the accolades he has outside of what he, Jiraiya, and Tsunade did in the Land of Rain. That's when they got the that's when they all got the epithet, the legendary Sannin. So we do know about that. So fast forward, now Itachi, he's 5 years old. In just 1 year, all this man does is train at this point. He trains every single day because he remembers the goal that he wants to become the strongest ninja in the world so that he can stop all the wars and fighting and pointless bloodshed. His skills, though they are developing rapidly, this is when we see that he has a true knack. The Shuriken Jutsu that we saw him in the flashback when he was training Sasuke, y'all remember that, where he throws one of the ninja stars and that causes it to ricochet off of another ninja star, and it hits the target behind the rock. He is 5 years old when he was starting to perfect that jutsu of his. Now, this is also the point in the chapter where we're introduced to Shisui for the first time. And when Shisui and Itachi meet for the first time, I was a little concerned with Shisui because, I'm not going to lie, how he approached Itachi was extremely suspect. Now, this man pulls up on Itachi while he's training, keep that in mind, and is like, I've been watching you train here for a while now. Like, what? Bro, what? That's weird as fuck. Leave me alone. Like, that's what I would have said if I was Itachi. But Itachi isn't concerned at all by Shisui, and by this point in the book, they've already became friends. After this point in the book, they have already became friends, and Shisui begins to train Itachi. Now, two more things happen in this chapter that are notable. One being that Sasuke was born, and Itachi was like, I don't want to say overbearing, because that is his younger brother, but he was really overwhelmed with sensations to protect Sasuke, no matter what. And I know what you're thinking, like, Hyuga, that's what an older sibling is supposed to do, but this is like really, really strong, like almost unnatural how strong of an urge he has to protect Sasuke. And the second thing being is that the Nine Tails attack happened on the village. Now, what can we infer about this new knowledge? Something I personally did not know from this was when Itachi was 4, Minato had just became the 4th Hokage. When Itachi was 5, the Nine Tails attacked the village, and we all know how that went with the 4th Hokage, meaning that Minato was only a year into his Hokage run when he died. Now, what happened during the Nine Tails attack, we had a filler arc for that as well. I mean, I'm going to be honest with you, a lot of these light novels, there's a filler arc for it. So, especially with Itachi's light novel, there's a lot of filler arcs about what happened. Let's keep that in mind when Fugaku was prepared to literally rush out there and subdue the Nine-Tailed Fox. Because at this point, the Nine-Tailed Fox, he's out, he's rampaging literally on the border of the Hidden Leaf Village. Like, it's right outside the Hidden Leaf Village. They're trying to stop it from getting inside. Up until this point, of at least the filler, we had only known of one person whose Sharingans were strong enough to control the Nine-Tailed Fox, right? It was in this light novel that we discovered the second person whose Sharingan is strong enough to control the Nine-Tailed Fox, and that is Wicked Eye Fugaku. When Fugaku was prepared to run out of the village gates to get to the Nine-Tailed Fox, he was stopped by Danzo, and Danzo instructed Fugaku to basically go back into the village. You're on border patrol, and you need to assist the citizens with getting to safety, which I can understand because the Uchiha make up the entire police force, so your responsibility is to protect the villagers, but at the same time, let at least Fugaku go to the Nine-Tails. I mean, my whole thing is that thousands of lives could have been spared, including Minato's life, if Fugaku was allowed to subdue the Nine-Tails. And I guarantee you that the 4th would not have had used the Reaper Death Seal if Fugaku was there. Let's just call a spade a spade. It was stated that in this moment, the Uchihas knew instantly what Danzo's true intentions were when he sent them back into the village. And when he sent Fugaku back into the village. He was going to allow the Uchiha to take the rap for the Nine-Tails attack. He already knew that Danzo did not like the Uchiha and that he suspected them for being behind the Nine-Tails attack. Which is absurd. But is it really absurd? Because even though we have mixed feelings about Danzo and a lot of people straight up hate this man, this is actually the one time he was right in this matter. Now, this literal one time, because he's not technically wrong if you think about it. It was an Uchiha who was responsible for the Nine-Tails attack. It was Obito. Obito was there. Obito is really responsible for the Nine-Tails being released. So I can't really be mad at them. You were wrong because Danzo didn't have evidence. He just put the blame on them regardless. But technically he was right. I will put that out there. It was after the attack from the Nine-Tails that this was the moment when that him and all of the Uchiha were rounded up and they were moved to the corner of the village. That corner of the village didn't exist until after the Nine-Tails attack. It didn't. They had all new everything, okay? New buildings, new playgrounds, new wash houses, everything. They built their little section of the village in the corner around their Nara shrine, and that is where they resided at until the massacre. Now, the last part of this chapter is when we fast forward one more time, and Itachi is 6 years old, and he's in the Ninja Academy. He just started the Ninja Academy at 6 years old, so he's a freshman, and Itachi is fucking up the entire Ninja Academy and all of the genin that are there. Okay, really, like, he's top of his class, he's top of the whole academy. He's outpacing them, he's outfighting them, he is outspeeding them. It states in this novel that it takes this man Itachi 30 seconds to complete a course when it takes the rest of his classmates on average of 5 minutes. He is the definition of hard work. The only thing that this man does, he goes to school, he trains either by himself or with Shisui, and then he babysits Sasuke. That's all he has to do. That's it, literally. And if that isn't bad enough, Itachi being an Uchiha means that he is hated by everyone in the village because they all blame him and his people for the Nine-Tails attack. But because he is whooping everyone's ass in school, we all know that Itachi has a very nonchalant demeanor about himself. We all know this, even as a child. He's double hated, but they can't beat his ass though, so they're not going to say anything to him. Well, later on, someone does say something to him, but he gets his ass whooped. The only person in the entire academy that likes this man is a girl by the name of Izumi Uchiha. But Itachi is oblivious, so he ignores her as well. But what finally draws Itachi back to Izumi is the fact that she has the Sharingan and has unlocked it already in the academy. Well, why is this important? Well, nobody will tell Itachi how to unlock the Sharingan. He knows the Sharingan is a thing, but every time he asks somebody, in this case Shisui, he refuses to tell Itachi how. For whatever reason, he just refuses to tell Itachi how to unlock the Sharingan. Probably all the bad stigma that's attached to the Sharingan, how you unlock that, how you unlock the Mangekyo Sharingan, how you obtain the Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan. It is all extremely depressing, and Shisui is probably trying to guard Itachi from this because he's still incredibly young. I'm not sure how much older Shisui is than Itachi, but I don't think it's a huge gap, but Shisui is older than him. So when Itachi asks Izumi about how she unlocked the Sharingan, she is transparent as fuck. She says, oh, during the Nine-Tails attack, my father died right in front of me and I passed out, and when I woke up, I had the Sharingan, and that's what my mother said to me and how I unlocked it. Oh, okay. Alrighty. Sounds good. So someone has to die. Shouldn't be too hard. And it's because of her honesty that Itachi accepts Izumi as a friend, or whatever he considers a friend at the time. And you know, that friendship is born in that love interest that we all know so well. Now, 4 months into the Ninja Academy. We fast forward, we're 4 months into the Ninja Academy. The instructors are basically like, Itachi, we literally have nothing else to teach you. You just need to go ahead and become a genin and get up out of here, because you've done all the work that we've given you, and then we had to go and get additional work for you to do, and you've already done all that, so we don't have anything else to teach you at all. But that's like a side reason, right? He was extremely adept in the Ninja Academy and extremely smart and talented when it came to ninjutsu and taijutsu. But the second part as to why they really needed to push a handful, it wasn't just Itachi, why they needed to push a handful of academy students to become genin was because they were short-handed in the Leaf Village when it came to ninja. Keep in mind, the Third Great Shinobi War just ended, right? The Third Great Shinobi War ended when Itachi was 4. And now he's 6 and about to graduate the academy. They haven't had time to rebuild all of these shinobi. And on top of that, they took another hit after the Nine-Tails attack. So they take Itachi and a handful of other academy students and they push them through the academy. Well, don't push them through, but basically say, hey, you're good enough. You go on to become a genin, because we need more ninja in this village to help protect the village. So they take the graduation exam early. He passes with ease. He becomes valedictorian of his class, and he's done. Like, he's done by 6. He's in and out. He does all this in 6 months. He does all of this in 4 months. He's only 6 years old, and he's done with the academy. But at the very end of this chapter, Itachi is approached by Danzo, and he's presented with a scenario. So Danzo asks Itachi a very simple question regarding 10 men. He says, there are 10 men. 9 of them are healthy, and 1 is sick. Well, let me say the in full riddle. He says, there are 10 men, they're on a boat at sea. 9 men are healthy, and 1 is sick. If the one who is sick is allowed to live, he will inevitably infect the other 9 men on the ship, and everybody will die. What will you do? And Itachi's answer was very straightforward, that he would kill the sick man since he will die anyway, thereby assuring that he does not infect the other 9. Danzo is pleased, and he walks away. Itachi asks his father, Fugaku, who is that man, and then Fugaku tells him that's Danzo. He runs the Root organization. He's underneath the 3rd Hokage. And we are done, ladies and gentlemen. That is it. That is chapter 1 of Itachi's story, Midnight. Whew! That is a long chapter, ladies and gentlemen, but we got through it. Very interesting. A lot of information we had already known about Itachi, but it's still really good to hear those things. You know what I'm saying? Like, really read it to see what it is that Itachi was on. I am concerned about Itachi being exposed so young to such a gruesome event. You see it nowadays, even in real life. If a child is exposed to such a trauma, either physically or visually, that sticks with them and it changes them, right? They develop differently. And Itachi, at that age, is more concerned about training than he is about public relations. You know what I mean? I don't see this ending well. Well, we already know it doesn't end well, but I'm curious to see about his upbringing. Maybe it's just the fact I'm a psychologist. I'm really concerned about his upbringing. I want to see how he further develops throughout this novel. But that is all I have for y'all for chapter 1 for Itachi's story. Thank y'all for rocking with me to the end. Let me know down below how you perceive Itachi, what you think really happened with this man. But yeah, if you're new, subscribe, comment, like, share, all that fancy stuff. And like always, keep it safe, Appetite. I'm out.